Rome, 117 AD. The Eternal City stands at its height. The Roman Empire stretches from the misty forests of Britannia to the burning sands of Egypt, from the Atlantic coast of Hispania to the edges of Mesopotamia. 60 million subjects, legionaries in their thousands, roads that span continents. The Colosseum thunders with gladiatorial cheers. And into this world, something impossible arrives. A ripple in time, a flicker of light. A single U.S. Army infantry platoon, modern uniforms, rifles, radios, vehicles, suddenly materializes outside the gates of Rome itself. 21st century soldiers, dropped into the 2nd century. No reinforcements, no supply line, no extraction. Just 40 men, modern weapons, and the task: conquer the Roman Empire.
So what happens if one of the most disciplined fighting forces in history, the Roman legions, faces a single platoon of modern American infantry? What happens when bronze-tipped pila meet M4 carbines? When disciplined shield walls face automatic fire? When cavalry charges ride into a storm of 5.56 millimeter rounds? Could one platoon, 40 men, bend the entire empire to their will? Or would Rome's sheer numbers and ingenuity grind them down? Let's find out.
This isn't a division, not even a company. We're talking about a modern U.S. infantry platoon, about 40 soldiers. Weapons: M4 carbines, M249 SAW light machine guns, M240 medium machine guns, a few M203 grenade launchers, and possibly a Javelin or AT-4 rocket launcher. Sidearms: M9 pistols. Special gear: night vision goggles, radios, body armor. Support: likely 2 Humvees or an MRAP with mounted 50 cal machine guns. Firepower like this is devastating compared to Roman swords and bows. A single M249 can spit 750 rounds per minute, more than a Roman sentry could loose arrows in the same time. But here's the catch. A platoon carries only what it has. Ammunition, maybe 10,000 to 15,000 rounds total across the squad. Fuel, enough for a few days of driving at most. Batteries, radios and optics won't last forever. Resupply? None. In short, an unstoppable spear, but only for a short time. Now, picture the opposition. Rome, at its peak, had 28 legions, each with about 5,000 men. That's 140,000 heavy infantry. Add auxiliaries, cavalry, archers, slingers. Add urban cohorts and the Praetorian Guard. Add the population's sheer manpower, millions of potential recruits. Their tactics? Disciplined, brutal, effective. Formations: testudo shield walls. Weapons: pilum throwing spears, gladii short swords, scorpius and ballistae. Logistics: roads, supply chains, fortifications. Experience: these weren't amateurs. They'd crushed Gauls, Carthaginians, Parthians. Against tribes with iron swords, Rome was invincible. But against rifles and machine guns, the balance changes instantly.
Phase 1. Contact. The platoon appears near the gates of Rome. Confused locals gather. Soldiers in bronze armor approach cautiously. The Romans see strange men with thundersticks. The platoon, tense, holds fire, until a Roman centurion orders his men forward, spears raised. The first burst cracks the silence. An M4 barks. One centurion drops. Then the squad opens up. Within seconds, a dozen Romans fall, shields splintered, blood soaking the cobbles. The crowd scatters in terror. Rome has never heard this kind of noise. Thunder without lightning. Men dying from invisible projectiles. Panic spreads. The Senate convenes. The emperor is alerted. Rome mobilizes. A cohort, 480 men, marches to crush this strange new threat. Shield walls clank, horns blare, dust rises as boots pound the ground. The platoon sets up a defensive perimeter. Saws and M240s cover the avenues. A Humvee mounts its .5 cal, the barrel gleaming. The Romans advance in disciplined formation. Shields overlap. Pilum fly. But then the machine guns roar. Hundreds of rounds rip through shields, armor, and flesh. The front line collapses. Blood sprays across the stones. The cohort disintegrates in minutes. Survivors flee. Rome has never seen mass slaughter on this scale in this time. Phase 3. The empire strikes back. But Rome is not a single cohort. The next day, an entire legion advances. 5,000 men. Siege weapons roll forward. Ballistae, Scorpios, catapults. The platoon holds high ground outside the city. Fields stretch before them. At range, the legion suffers horribly. Arrows and stones can't match rifles. Hundreds die before closing, but numbers press on. The ground quakes with shields and sandals. The .5 cal mows down ranks. Grenades explode inside tight formations. The javelin arcs skyward, obliterating siege engines. But ammo burns fast. Belts empty. Magazines dry up.
Here's the hard truth. The platoon cannot conquer Rome, not in the long term. Yes, they could annihilate cohorts, even legions. Their weapons create a kill zone no Roman has ever faced. They could terrorize the empire for weeks, maybe even assassinate the emperor, overthrow the Senate, seize temporary Khan. But logistics are merciless. Ammo runs out. Fuel tanks dry. Spare parts break down. Batteries die. Once rifles click empty, what's left? Bayonets against gladii, pistols against pila, body armor against sheer numbers. And Rome has numbers. Always more men, always more iron. Eventually, the platoon would be overwhelmed. But here's the fascinating part. For the Romans, even a short clash would be earth-shattering. Rumors would spread like wildfire. Tales of thunder weapons, fire chariots, demons of war. Survivors would describe men who kill from a distance, in silence, with lightning. Superstition would explode. Some would call them gods, others devils. Could the platoon seize this psychology? Intimidate the Senate, demand tribute, install themselves as warlords. For a short while, yes, they could bend Roman politics with sheer terror. But not forever. Rome learns. Rome adapts. Rome endures. Even if the platoon survives a year, without reinforcements, the empire eventually swallows them. Still, imagine the alternate timeline. What if Roman engineers captured a rifle, reverse-engineered gunpowder centuries early? Would history accelerate by 1,000 years? So, could a U.S. platoon conquer the Roman Empire? In the short term, they'd be gods of war. Entire legions shattered, emperors trembling, cities bowing in fear. In the long term, no. Logistics, numbers, and time crush them. The empire endures. But what about this? What if, instead of a platoon, an entire modern brigade with tanks, artillery, helicopters was dropped into Rome at its peak? Would history itself be rewritten? That is a story for another time.